friends, as we continue in our devotionals during Holy Week, as we approach the days of Maundy Thursday, Good Friday, and of course Easter. I wanted to share with you a story, yet again from John's Gospel, and within the Passion narrative. But I also wanted to take time to acknowledge something that Christians have often done poorly. When we read the Gospels, and sometimes when we talk about, especially the Passion narrative, we have a tendency to engage in what we would call anti-Semitism. And that's speech and actions, and sometimes even harmful acts against those who are part of the Jewish faith. Our Jewish brothers and sisters were not responsible for Jesus' crucifixion. I want to say that again. Our Jewish brothers and sisters were not responsible for Jesus' crucifixion. When we read these stories, there are times when we'll read about Jewish leaders, the Sanhedrin, who sought a way to have Jesus arrested. And while they were Jewish men, leaders in the Jewish faith in Jerusalem at that time, it wasn't their Jewish faith that was leading them to make those decisions. It was the fear and the hurt and the confusion, and quite frankly, sometimes the forgetfulness of God's love for us that led to those actions, those decisions. And sometimes, as Christians, we make those same mistakes. So I want to take a look at a passage here to offer a reminder of that we're not talking about what the people who led Jesus to Pilate, what they believed, but rather that they feared. Reading from John chapter 18, starting at verse 28. The Jewish leaders led Jesus from Caiaphas to the Roman governor's palace. It was early in the morning. So that they could eat the Passover, the Jewish leaders wouldn't enter the palace. Entering the palace would have made them ritually impure. So Pilate went out to them and asked, "What charge do you bring against this man?" They answered, "If he had done nothing wrong, we wouldn't have handed him over to you." Pilate responded, "Take him yourselves. Judge him according to your law." The Jewish leaders replied, "The law doesn't allow us to kill anyone." Pilate recognized that he didn't want this on his hands either. It was in everyone's interest that Jesus be silenced. The Sanhedrin, the Jewish leaders that John speaks of, understood that their role was to keep peace between Rome and the Jewish people. Jesus was a threat to that. What he did, what he talked about, how he was acting, it was a threat to that. Pilate didn't want to have anything to do with this. He had no real reason to kill Jesus. He knew he would eventually, and likely many others with him. No one wanted a piece of this. Even the Jewish leaders say, there is no law that allows us to kill someone. You've got to do it. What I find interesting in this story, though, is at the beginning it says that because of Passover, they couldn't enter the palace because that would make them ritually impure. And so Pilate had to bring Jesus out to them, and it's there where they would decide his fate. I think about the number of times throughout not just John's gospel, but the other gospels as well, where Jesus would offer the teaching, reminding those who were what we might call the Bible experts. Sometimes we are so focused on knowing the rules and the regulations and the how-tos and the how-not-tos that we forget the most basic tenet of our relationship with God. It starts with an L. Love. If we forget that, nothing else matters. One of the things Jesus even says in the gospel, he says, love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. And on this hinge all the law and the prophets. What we're supposed to read here is the irony that what would cause ritual impurity is them entering the palace. But again, it's not their Jewish identity that brings that problem around. It's our Christian identity too. It's our identity as people of the church that sometimes we are so focused on our rules, so focused on our regulations, so focused on how we've always done it, that sometimes we don't see the irony that the way we've always done it has left others out, has failed others, has broken others. Sometimes I'm amazed at how much we know about our rules and regulations, but fail to notice that they don't live up to love. So what if we begin with love first? Put those rules and regulations through a strainer and discover which ones are about love and which ones are completely made up by us. They made a mistake. They failed to see what was really important right before them. Jesus knew this. And yet it's the same Jesus who in moments would cry out, Lord, forgive them, but they don't know what they're doing. It wasn't that they didn't really know, it's that they didn't really understand it. They were acting out of a place of fear, out of anxiety, out of a desire to have things normal again. But we forgot that it's all about love. Amen.